Happy morning, dear students. Today's topic is intestinal obstruction. Intestinal obstruction is an interruption in the normal flow of intestinal contents to the intestine. The obstruction may occur in small or large intestine. It may be complete or partial obstruction and may due to mechanical or paralytic causes. It may found as congenital anomalies or acquired conditions. Okay, this is about intestinal obstruction introduction. Coming to the definition of intestinal obstruction, the bowel obstruction is mechanical or functional obstruction of the intestines, preventing the normal transit of products of digestion. Here, what it is there means here the normal flow of the digestive part or digestive material that may be preventing some obstruction, it will be there. So, it is called as bowel obstruction or intestinal obstruction. It can occur at any level distal to the duodenum of the small intestines and is medical emergency. If it is below small duodenum means that is small intestines, that time we will treat as it is a medical emergency. Immediately we will do the surgery. Okay, this is about the definition of intestinal obstruction. Next, coming to the incidence. The incidence rate is 1 in 1500 births. The children are affected with this the intestinal obstruction. Okay, next coming to the causes. Here the two causes is there, that is intrinsic causes and then extrinsic causes. What are the intrinsic causes? That is atresia, stenosis, meconium ileus. These are the intrinsic causes. You know about what is atresia. Here the atresia is mostly we will see in the duodenum part because of some obstruction is there. Okay, so because of that atresia, blood circulation will not be there with that part. Mostly we will see in the duodenum part. And stenosis. Here there is no blood circulation is there. Okay, in atresia some part is closed, obstruction will be there. And next one is meconium ileus. And the next extrinsic causes. Here the extrinsic causes are malrotation, constricting bands and intra-abdominal hernias. These are the extrinsic factors or causes. Malrotation because of some deformity, the malrotation of the intestines will be there, and then constricting the bands, that bands will be constricting. Okay, and then intra-abdominal hernias. These are the extrinsic causes. Okay, next, what are the small bowel obstructions? Here the small bowel obstructions are additions from previous surgeries. Why these additions will be there means because those babies who are having this intestinal obstruction babies, they are having some congenital malformations of the GI system. So they are underwent some surgeries. So they are having, because of that surgeries, they are having additions. And hernias contain bowels. And next one is neoplasms and intussusception and strictus. Next, foreign bodies and intestinal atresia is there. Okay, these are the small bowel obstructions. Okay, coming to the large bowel obstructions. What are the large bowel obstructions? Same as neoplasms. It is congenitally, it may be present through their parents. Neoplasms will be there, and then inflammatory bowel diseases and additions, same as the previous surgeries, surgical interventions, additions will be there. And then constipation, because of child is having constipation, this obstruction will be there. And then fecal impactation, and because of that fecal matter, that may be impactation with that part, that is mostly we will see in the large intestine, and then mostly we will observe in the descending colon. Okay, and then colon atresia and then pseudo obstructions will be there. These are the large bowel obstructions. Next, coming to the classification of intestinal obstruction, here classified into two, that is congenital intestinal obstruction, and second one is acquired intestinal obstruction. We will see one by one. What are the congenital intestinal obstructions? Are intestinal atresia, that is atresia may be present most commonly, we will see in the duodenum area. Okay, and then next one is malrotation of the gut. It is an incomplete rotation of the gut during the intrauterine life. Mostly 12th week of the intrauterine life it may be form because of some deformity, congenital malformation. The cecum comes to the the cecum is lies below the pilar. So some malrotation is there. And next one is meconium plug syndrome. What is meconium plug syndrome? Here the meconium is obstruction of the lower colon by a thick plug of meconium, mostly found in the neonates. And next one is meconium ileus. Meconium ileus, it occurs due to the inspirated putty like a meconium plug that is mostly present in the lumen of the terminal ileum. This also may leads to the obstruction of the intestines. So it is called as meconium ileus. And next one is annular pancreasis. Here the annular pancreas means the head of the pancreas is compressed and second part of the duodenum gives rise to extrinsic form of the obstruction. That is called as annular pancreas. And Meckel's diverticulum. Here the Meckel's diverticulum means Meckel's diverticulum is the most common renented of the violet low intestinal duct, because some obstruction is there. That is how much that obstruction is there means that is 10 to 1.2 centimeters. 10 centimeters to 1.2 meters it will be there associated in the ileocecal junction. So because mostly this we will see in the before 2 years of age group children itself, that is called as that is called as Meckel's diverticulum. And next one is Herping's disease. Herping's disease or megacolon, both are same. We will discuss next that condition. And next coming to the acquired intestinal obstructions. Here the acquired intestinal obstructions are first one is the intussusception. And intussusception means it is an by physical examination we can't recognize, but the telescoping of the intestinal wall into itself we will identify. Telescoping means it is inserting one part to another part, but it is a continuation part of the intestines. It is inserted to one part to another part. Okay, so here the slipping of the one part of the intestine into the another part just below it. Okay, so mostly this is we will see in the children's the most common site of intussusception is ileocecal region is there. And next one is twisted loop of intestines. Okay, and tumors, hernias, foreign body. Here the foreign body, that also is acquired intestinal obstructions. Mostly the coins, children are swallowed, so that also is one of the acquired intestinal obstructions. And the paralytic ileus. Okay, these are the conditions we are classified in the acquired intestinal obstruction. Okay, next pathophysiology. Next coming to the pathophysiology, normal bowel contains gas and chyme. Chyme means it is a mixture of the blood, saliva, gastric, biliary, pancreatic and intestinal secretions. Okay, that is called as chyme. Okay, chyme continues to accumulate even without intake of oral fluids. It may be accumulate. Okay, that time what happened here, the intrinsic or extrinsic obstructions of the bowel leads to accumulation of the secretions that dilate the intestines, proximal and then obstruction. It may be obstruct, that chyme may be obstruct in the intestines. It may lead because of some internal or external factors, means intrinsic and then extrinsic factors. It may leads to the obstruction of the proximal to the obstruction is there. Okay, this is about pathophysiology. Because of that increased peristaltic contractions and intraluminar pressure may cause the frequent loose stools, flatus and then vomiting is there. Okay, because of that obstruction child is suffering with this and bowel becomes ischemia when capillary blood flow is stopped. Okay, because of that ischemia, what happened, necrosis, and then it is allowing the bacteria to pass into the peritoneum and then into the bloodstream, leading to the septicemia. Because obstruction, because of that bacteria may be present. Once the bacteria is staying in that particular part, what happened, a septicemia will be there. That septicemia will, that bacteria may enter into the bloodstream, it may lead to the septicemia. This is about the pathophysiology of intestinal obstruction. And coming to the clinical features, that is abdominal pain, abdominal distension, vomiting, constipation, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and respiratory compromise, and sometimes bowel ischemias, colic pain is there. Okay, look at this picture, how that obstruction will be there. We will see in the pathophysiology, because of that obstruction, the necrosed part, the blood circulation will not be there in that particular part, and then once the necrosis part is there, the bacteria is present in that. Once the bacteria is grown up, it may enter into the bloodstream and it may lead to septicemia. Okay, this is about the clinical features of intestinal obstruction. Next, diagnostic evaluations, that is blood investigations, serum electrolyte, blood urea nitrogen, creatinine, glucose, complete blood picture, ABG analysis should be done, and urine analysis, stool for occult blood should be taken, and imaging studies, means barium male studies and x-rays they are doing, and ultrasonography. It relieves that child is suffering with the intestinal obstruction. Next, medical management, stabilize the patient and monitor vital signs, replace fluid with the isotonic sodium chloride or ringer lactate. Opioid analysis should be given, and next one is anti-emetic drugs should be administered for that babies, and broad spectrum antibiotics is needed for this intestinal obstruction babies, because necrosis is there now and septicemia is there. To prevent that, broad spectrum antibiotic is needed. And next one is surgical management. What is surgical management? Means additions of startled with without surgery should be done if any interventions is needed. And in infant, most of these obstructions are due to the additions, which need completely surgical correction is needed. But if anywhere this intestinal obstruction condition, they need some surgical interventions, so to prevent further complications. Okay, that is about intestinal obstructions. Thank you.